It's another ordinary day in the big city. Someone, somewhere, is in trouble.
I have always wanted to do this.
Help! Help!
Are you all right, love?
Oh, I'm ever so worried about what to do with my savings.
Oh, that's what it's about.
What do you look like?
ISA superhero.
Use a superhero.
No, ISA, individual savings account superhero. It's my idea to try and remind people that the deadline to get your money in is tonight.
Let's go and get a cup of tea, come on.
Shall we walk? Happy New Year! Well, the new tax year, that is. At midnight tonight, if you haven't used this year's cash ISA allowance, you lose it.
So we're throwing an ISA party in an ISA bar. And you're all invited.
Everybody with savings, even just £100, you need to listen, because as well as the deadline, at midnight you get a brand new cash ISA allowance allowing you to save even more tax-free. I'll be explaining exactly how it works, plus running through all the best buys.
So act now, before the opportunity melts away.
Have you heard of an ISA?
No.
No.
Ice mountain. It's a mountain!
Something to do with dry ice or something.
Dry ice. Would you like one?
No.
OK, thank you.
Time to go back to basics. So ICE acquired a choir of savers who want to know more. And I've written them a little something.
This is our cash ISA jingle. Lauren, take it away.
If you are happy to share your wealth, saying hello, Mr. Taxman, help yourself, then this is not for you. But if you want to put your savings away in a safe place, keeping the taxman at bay, then what we say is true. Your cash is nicer in an ISA.
All right. So, a cash ISA is a savings account you don't pay tax on. If you have money in a savings account, put it in a cash ISA. It is just dead simple. I use a cake analogy, right? So, go with me now. You need good visual imagination.
This cake represents Syra's savings, and this slice, the interest she receives each year. But it's not all for her, because
Each year, the taxman comes along and takes the bite out. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. There's your cake back, minus my little bit that I've taken there.
That's not fair.
Well, that's taxation. You get charged it. But the way round it is each year, the government gives you an ISA wrapper. This year, you can put £5,640 worth of cash in. Next year, £5,760 worth of cash in. Now, the point is, this is your savings, if you forgive me. You put it inside the ISA wrapper. Look, nothing has changed except one thing. Now,
The taxman can't bite it.
bingo. And that's the most important thing to understand. The cash is still cash. It's still a savings account. It's just inside a wrapper, protecting it from the taxman.
So you can have your cake and eat it.
the government gives you an ISA allowance to encourage you to save. But many don't use it because they think they'd have to lock their savings away. That's probably a confusion with tax-free Tessas from way back in the 90s.
Did anybody here think that? Be really honest with me. Yeah, you thought, go on, just what's your view?
I thought once it's in there, and you can't get access to it, so that's why.
You can't get that. And do you have a cash ISA?
No.
Do you have savings? And you haven't used your cash ISA because you
I thought I couldn't get to
Is
it.
that's a very common viewpoint and completely wrong.
Mother of two, Juliet Cunnington, who's self-employed, is savvy with her £12,000 in savings.
they're not savings that I dip into regularly, so I want those to work as hard for me as they possibly can.
You monitor the account, I'm presuming.
Yeah.
And you shift when you need to, when the so you know about bonus rates and how to work
Oh,
with those.
Juliet, the type of woman I love.
No.
She aggressively monitors her savings to get best buy rate, but she's completely missed the whole ISA thing.
Right, so you're a basic rate taxpayer. Currently, you're earning 1.9%, aren't you?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Am I not?
You're not. That's before tax.
Oh, OK.
But the taxman's taking 20% off. So would you take 20% off 1.9?
So 1.9 times 0.8.
Exactly. Perfect. 20% off is times 0.8.
1.52.
You're actually earning 1.52%. That's the crux.
If you're a higher rate taxpayer, 40% is taken off, so you've got to times the rate by 0.6.
Juliet's a super saver. Her only sin is not using ISAs. It means she's lost out on years of tax-free saving.
Let's just work out over 3 years what you could have gained had these been in cash ISAs.
OK.
We'll find out the answer later. Remember, your cash is nicer in an ISA.
Now, some people say to me, come on, you can't actually put that much money in a cash ISA. Wrong. You can, but you can't look at it as a snapshot. You have to look at it over time. The point is, once money's in a cash ISA, it stays tax-free year after year. The first ISA year was 1999. The limit then was £3,000. If you filled that then and you haven't taken the money out, it's still tax-free in an ISA now. Then there was another £3,000 year, another £3,000. Then they made it bigger, 3,600, 5,600, and this year again. So you can use each year's cash ISAs to build a wall of savings. And this is the important point, because you see, if you miss a year, once that year's gone, you can't get it back. So while you have the chance to put your money in a cash ISA and build your savings wall, protect it from tax, grab it.
Time is running out.
So, everyone who's got savings should be opening an ISA.
Well, look, if you've got very expensive debts like credit cards, you'd be better off to use your savings to repay them, because the debts cost you a lot more than the savings make you, even in an ISA. And the same's true of a mortgage. If your mortgage rate is higher than your ISA rate, you'd be better to use your cash to overpay that, provided there are no penalties. And I'd always keep some form in an emergency fund, which you could put in an ISA. After that, for me, cash ISAs are the next thing I would go for. There are a few specialised regular savings accounts that allow a small amount of money for a short amount of time to earn you a bit more. But remember, the key advantage of a cash ISA, it stays tax-free year after year, and that's something you shouldn't ignore.
But what I don't understand is if people have got a small amount of savings, they can't fill this tax year anyway, so why not just wait till tomorrow?
Well, you could wait until tomorrow, but of course you might get a windfall next year. And if you do, and you've used next year's allowance unnecessarily when you could have used this year's, that means less of your money is protected tax-free. So I would do it now so that you've got room just in case something wonderful happens.
Don't let your chances melt away. You've less than 4 hours to use this year's cash ISA allowance. There are also shares ISAs, reducing tax for those prepared to take a risk. But savings are what this lot are all about, and that's all a cash ISA is, a savings account.
There's easy access, deposit, fixed rate, regular saver. Those are types of savings accounts. And they're also types of cash ISA.
Choir member and mother of 2, Kay Elwyn, keeps 1 husband, 1 dog, 2 cats and 8 hens. And she's a bit chicken when it comes to organising her money.
I've always found looking into the different accounts and things just a bit too daunting and a bit too confusing, to be honest. So just haven't got round to it.
She's got 10 grand put by, but she hasn't even got the money in a savings account. Never mind an ISA. It's sitting in a bog-standard current account at no interest.
Don't look at me like that. Do you have an ISA?
No.
She's asked me to take this slowly, because dealing with these type of finances scares her.
I need to be able to get to some money if I need it.
You want an easy access cash ISA.
OK.
If you put your money in there, you can take that money out whenever you want just like an easy access savings account, which is what you're planning to put your money in.
OK, and how would you be able to take that money out?
In exactly the same way. If you did an online account, you go online and you say, I'd like to withdraw £3,000, and they put the £3,000 into your bank account.
So if she put her 10 grand away, how much would she earn every year in, say, a 2.5% cash ISA?
Very important. So let me just do a calculation for you.
OK, not the toughest maths in the world, but we'll give you the answer later anyway.
So, Martin, if there are people out there who find themselves in Kay's position tonight, what counts? Opening the ISA or shifting their money into the ISA?
Well, if you've got 10 grand like Kay, you really want to do it tonight, because then put 5 grand in tonight, 5 grand in tomorrow, the whole amount is sheltered from the taxman. But it is getting the money in that counts, which means we're talking emergency surgery to do this. It's very late, but I think there is a way. The most important thing is just open one. So for that, I'd go to your own bank, because it's easier to move money across. Once you get it in, it doesn't matter about the rate, just make sure it's an easy access cash ISA, because then tomorrow or next week, you can do a transfer to the best buys that I'll tell you at the end of the programme. Bank by bank. Look, Barclays open until 11 o'clock for online applications tonight. HSBC 11:45, Lloyds and Halifax 11:59. Apply and then do a faster payment from your own bank account to get the money in. That should work in time. Transfer tomorrow. RBS, NatWest, Santander have already closed to new applications. So the best I can offer you there is I'd go for Tesco, the only one of my best buys still open. It's offering 2.3% with a minimum of £1. And you can use your debit card if you've got money in your current account to put the money in tonight. That should be instant, so it should work. So with all of those, it's Tesco's. And with these, it's go at the end of the programme, use your own bank, easy access cash ISA, transfer tomorrow. Good luck! Here's my money teaser this week. You've just bought a freehold property and you need buildings insurance. Which one of these is the correct amount to cover? Is it A, just the cost of rebuilding the property if it were knocked down? B, you've had a mortgage valuation? Use that and go with your mortgage company. Then it's all been done for you. Or C, get a full independent market valuation so you truly know what your house is worth. I'll give you the answer after the break. Before the break, I asked you which of these is the correct amount to cover for buildings insurance. The answer? Well, it's just A, the amount it would cost to rebuild the house if it were knocked down. Now, many people get this wrong. They insure for the house's market value. Now, that, of course, includes the location and is far more than the simple cost of the bricks and mortar, which means check yours. You could be paying far too much because you're overcovered. The other big issue is, well, what does buildings cover include and what does contents cover? The easy way to explain this is imagine you could pick your house up and turn it upside down. Everything that falls is covered by content, everything that remains by buildings.
Now, this doesn't mean you can't get caught in the middle of who covers what.
Which is why, if you need both, it's often easier and can be cheaper to get buildings and contents together.
And that should leave you all sorted.
No! I was going to give that to my daughter.
Back to ISAs. I'll be running through tomorrow morning's New Year's Best Buy rates later. But time's running out for this tax year. You can put in up to £5,640 before midnight and another £5,760 in the new tax year at a minute past midnight.
This man's been grabbing his allowance year after year after year.
How long have you been doing that for?
Since it started.
Since they started. It's just absolute...
Oh, so you're quite rich.
Oh, we're not a dating agency.
Yet savers big and small are the forgotten victims of the economic downturn. Even in just the last 6 months, Best Buy rates have nosedived again.
There's a scheme called Funding for Lending that the government has put in place, which is effectively a way of helping borrowers. But of course, if there's more money going to the banks to help borrowers, they don't need to borrow off us, so they don't need to attract the savings money, which is why rates have gone down. I tell you, the thing to be at the moment, whether it's cash ISAs or savings, is an active, aggressive saver who is treating your savings, getting the best rate like a job of work.
Power to the people.
Quite right.
So check your old ISA rates. They may be spit-worthily low. If so, as this lady suggests, move them.
Close that ISA and reopen a new one.
You were doing so well, and then it all went wrong.
You're right.
The naughty word you used was close. You don't close it, because if you close it and take your money out, you've lost it. You've lost the ISA. The ISA's gone. But you have a right to transfer it. Your new ISA will move the money for you. You do not move the money yourself. If you take the money out yourself, you've lost your ISA.
If I had one this year, can I buy another one then for the next year and the next year? Use all my savings up?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, that's the key thing you need to do with an ISA. You get your chunk this year. If you've got decent savings, you fill it up. Now, tomorrow, a new tax year starts, which means you get a whole new allowance. And not only can you put it in, your partner can put it in. So think, if you never had money in an ISA and you had 20 grand right now and you were married, I would open an ISA, my missus would open an ISA, well, that's about 11 grand. Tomorrow morning, I would open an ISA, my missus would open an ISA, that's another 11 grand. We've now got £22,000 sheltered from the tax man that we didn't before.
But time is running out. Less than 4 hours to go.
Where is your money, NISA?
So at midnight tonight, we all get to put into a brand new allowance of £5,760. Yeah? Mm-hmm. What are the best buys?
OK, let's run through them. We'll start with easy access, and of course, these are the ones I know so far. Things can always change. The top pay is the Coventry Building Society at 2.6%. You only need £1 to open it, and it gives 0.1% to the Poppy Appeal too, but it doesn't allow you to transfer in old ISAs. If you want to put new money and transfers in, then the top's the Leeds Building Society at 2.55%, also from £1, followed closely by Santander at 2.5%, but for that you need a minimum 2.5 grand. What I would say, though, is these are variable rate accounts, which means they can move the rate willy-nilly. They don't do it that often, but you need to monitor. If they drop the rate, you have a right to transfer it to a new provider. So monitor your rate, and if they do drop it, move it to a better buy elsewhere.
OK, now, if I go and open an ISA tonight, can I put my old ISA into the new allowance? Consolidate?
Yeah, you can, and in fact, I think that's a very good thing. Because I'm talking about moving your cash ISA once a year once the rates drop, which they will do, to have it all in one place so you can administratively shift it makes it a lot easier to do. And in fact, you can sometimes get better buys because of that if you've got a lot of past ISA money. For example, if you're an existing First Direct customer, and you have over £40,000 when you add in the new ISA and your old ISAs together, it'll give you 3% easy access, which beats the two best buys I mentioned earlier.
OK, now, is that a variable rate?
It is.
But what about if you're looking for a guaranteed rate?
Yeah, OK, if you want to get a certain rate, then you need to get a fixed ISA. But for that, you're going to need to lock in your money for a set amount of time. Actually, they have interest penalties if you withdraw early. But in general, just think of it as locking your money in. Top picks there, I'd say, is Halifax at 3 years, 3%, minimum of £500 to open that one. Or 2 years, 2.8% with the Santander Major ISA, minimum of £1. You actually get 3% if you have a Santander 123 account already. And I mentioned this last week, it's got this weird gimmick where if Rory McIlroy wins a major in the next 2 years, you get an extra one-off 0.1%. I wouldn't worry about that, though. It's a gimmick. But the rate itself, if you want a 2-year fix, is the best on the market.
OK, so if I open an ISA tonight, do I have access to those best buys too?
Yeah, remember what I said. If you're rushing to open one tonight, just get it in any easy access ISA. Once that's done, tomorrow you can apply to do a transfer, and then you'll be earning the maximum rate on it. So get it in anywhere tonight, and then transfer it tomorrow or sometime next week.
ISA Superhero is here to save people in distress over their savings. Remember, if you're over 16, you get a brand new ISA tomorrow. Hoorah!
Kay, who's a bit bit chicken about money matters, has a £10,000 nest egg, earning nothing in a bog-standard bank account.
So let me just do a calculation for you. £10,000 times nothing is nothing.
But if she'd had her money in a cash ISA at 2.5%, she'd rather obviously have made
£250.
Oh, wow.
So over a year, if you kept that money in a year,
Yeah.
you'd be £250 off, better than you are now.
Okay.
But really important is that that would last year after year. This is a 5-minute job, no more.
Right, okay, I get
Are we
that
good?
now. Yes, I do.
Good, sure?
Yes,
Good.
absolutely.
Now on to Juliet. Let me be your Romeo. She's my kind of saver, lovingly searching out the best account to get her £12,000, earning 1.9% interest over 3 years. But fortune's full with no ISAs. After basic rate tax, she gets just £527 interest.
Let's call it 530 quid.
Right.
Now let's just work out what you would have earned had we had it in a cash
Yep.
ISA over that time.
Oh, my goodness.
£877.
That's a big difference, isn't
That's
it?
a big difference.
That
That's-
is a big difference.
We're talking a couple of minutes of work to have done this.
It makes no sense now to leave them in the savings accounts at all. They've got to go into ISAs. It's a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and really interestingly, just contrasting you with Kay, who's fearful of finance, like many people are. You're not, you're confident. And I can just see in your eyes, you've just had bing, light bulb.
I've had a light bulb moment, yeah, exactly.
And just gone, right. Well, that's wonderful. I think, job done with you.
Parting is such sweet sorrow, especially now she's an ISA lover.
Right, Marty, that was a really good day. Well done. Bye.
Night.
We've just got a minute left, and we've had some tweets in. Tara asks, can you transfer an old ISA and open a new one in the same tax year?
Yes, yes, yes. They're totally separate concepts. All the deadlines apply to the new year and getting your money in. Transfer, you can do it whenever you like, as often as you like, as many times as you like, 4 times a year if you want. I wouldn't do that, but you could do. So separate concepts, not a problem.
OK, and Libby asked, is the NS&I flexible ISA the most secure on the market?
Well, look, NS&I is a government-owned institution, so it's not going to go bust. But, you know, all the cash ISAs I've mentioned, all the big bank cash ISAs have the full UK government-backed £85,000 per person, per financial institution savings safety guarantee, which means in the unlikely event something happened to the institution, the government would make sure you got your money. So it's a negligible difference for me. Go for the best rate.
Brilliant, and we will see you next week, 8 o'clock. What are we doing?
Credit card shuffle, uncovering secret hotel deals. That's very sexy, that one. For now, though, go sort your ISAs. Happy new tax year!
Next night, we return to Weatherfield as tonight's double Coronation Street continues. Then at 9, in the Last and the Present series, Piers Morgan talks to businesswoman Karen Brady in Life Stories.